When you're shopping for a car, reliability isn't just a box to tick. It's the thing that keeps you from making lifelong friends with the AAA guy. Unless, of course, you enjoy those surprise roadside breakdowns and the thrill of wondering if you're going to make it to your cousin's wedding or get stranded in the middle of nowhere. So today we're going to dive into the 10 engines that you should avoid like the plague. First is the Mini Cooper. Now this engine loves drama. Timing chain issues, oil leaks, turbo failures. You name it, the Prince has got it. It's like the court gesture of engines, and not in a good way. If you manage to get 50,000 miles out of it without the gasket blowing, you might as well throw yourself a party, because that's a rare accomplishment. The valve cover? Plastic. And we all know what that means. It warps over time and starts leaking oil all over the exhaust. That's right, you're cruising down the road and suddenly you get hit with that lovely smell of burning oil. It kind of makes you wish that you were in a horse-drawn carriage instead, doesn't it? Now, coil packs. There are 4 of them, and they're ready to give you some serious drivability issues when they go bad. And trust me, they do go bad. Engine running rough, that annoying flashing check engine light, yeah, you're in for a good time. Oh, and don't forget, failing coil packs means that your spark plugs are probably working overtime, so you'll need to replace those too. And if that wasn't enough drama, we've got the VVT solenoids to talk about. When they fail, you lose horsepower at just the wrong time, like trying to merge onto the freeway and feeling like you're riding a lawnmower instead of in a Mini Cooper. And why do they fail? Well, dirty oil or not enough oil. This engine just loves being picky about maintenance. Number 2, the Ford EcoBoost. The 1-liter Ford EcoBoost engine comes with a wet belt system, which sounds fancy, right? But here's the deal. Ford thought that keeping the timing belt submerged in oil was going to keep things running smoother for longer. Spoiler alert, it didn't. In reality, all that oil bath does is break down the belt faster than you'd think, sending bits of rubber into the engine like confetti at a really bad party. Now let's not forget the coolant leaks as well. Those practically come standard, and head gasket failures that pop up right when you start thinking you're in the clear, those too. Getting past 50,000 miles without a major incident feels like finding a 4-leaf clover. People love to talk about reliability, but if you're looking at the Ford EcoBoost, be ready for your odds of calling a tow truck to skyrocket. Sure, it's got a great turbocharged kick when it's working, but the question is, how long will it actually work before you end up at the mechanic? Number 3, Mazda's infamous 1.3-liter rotary engine. Now, it sounds great on paper. It's compact, it's lightweight, and capable of high-revving thrills. But let me tell you, in reality, it's more of a high-maintenance relationship than you probably want. First off, let's talk about those apex seals. These things are like the piston's rings in a normal engine, but they sit right at the tips of the triangular rotor, which is where the magic, or in this case, the headache, happens. They wear out faster than your patience in a Monday morning traffic jam. When they go, you lose compression, and that's when your real trouble starts. Power loss, sky-high oil consumption, and oh yeah, you're going to need to keep an eye out on that oil like a hawk, because this engine loves burning it. Imagine having to top off oil more than you fill up your windshield washer fluid. Yeah, it's that needy. The RX-8, the final form of this engine, didn't really do it any favors either. It had a poorly designed cooling system, which meant even more stress on those apex seals. Picture this, the engine's almost prone to wear, and now it's running hot? That's a recipe for disaster. And let's not forget about the costs. When those seals inevitably fail, you're looking at a repair bill anywhere between $3,000 to $4,600. No small change. Now, that's why a lot of people just say forget it and replace the whole engine. Mazda even discouraged owners from attempting their own rebuilds, suggesting instead that they swap out the whole power plant for a factory rebuilt core motor. This is because heat dissipation issues often caused warping, misalignments, and further headaches if not addressed properly. It's no wonder that the rotary engine has become infamous for its reliability, or maybe lack thereof. Number 4, the Pontiac 2.5-liter Iron Duke. With a power range between 85 to 110 horsepower, this engine was pretty much the poster child for struggle. It's like giving your toddler a set of dumbbells and telling them to go jog a mile. There was a lot of noise, a lot of shaking, but not a whole lot of progress. Speaking of shaking, the Iron Duke was notorious for rattling. Driving one felt more like sitting in a carnival ride than cruising down the highway. I mean, if you wanted a driving experience that made your dashboard flutter like a scared pigeon, well, maybe this was the thrill for you. The early models had cylinder heads that cracked so often that owners got to know their local mechanics better than their own neighbors. Reliable? Sure. But comfortable? Absolutely not. The Iron Duke may have stuck around for a while, but comfort and refinement were definitely not in its vocabulary. Number 5. Chrysler's infamous 2.7-liter V6. Now, on paper, it sounded good. An aluminum block, dual overhead cams, 24 valves, and all that fancy jazz. But in reality, this thing was a disaster waiting to happen, especially if you wanted an engine that, actually lasted. First off, let's talk about that sludge buildup. This engine had a bad habit of turning its oil into sludge. And I don't mean just a little bit of buildup here and there. We're talking thick, gooey sludge that clogged everything up. The culprit? Poor oil circulation and higher than average operating temperatures. Oil wasn't flowing right, and when that happens, parts don't get the lubrication that they need, leading to what the pros call engine starvation. Translation, your engine is about to give up the ghost, usually with zero warning. This 2.7-liter V6 was underpowered for the cars that it was in. Chrysler stuffed it into big sedans like the Dodge Charger and Chrysler 300, where it just didn't have the guts to keep up. 0 to 60 times were in the ballpark of 10 seconds. Yeah, that's about as fast as a Prius. It was sluggish, and it made these big cars feel like they were towing a boat anchor. Number 6, the BMW S65. The S65 is all about high performance, hitting 414 horsepower and revving up to 8,400 RPM. It sounds sweet, right? Well, until you realize that this thing is notorious for rod bearing issues. These bearings were the engine's Achilles heel. They tend to wear out faster than you'd expect, especially if you're pushing the engine like it was made to be pushed. And if those rod bearings decide to die on you, you're looking at an engine that's more toast than your average Sunday brunch. But what's worse, the throttle body actuators are another nightmare waiting to happen. Each of these 8 individual throttle bodies, 8, is just a ticking time bomb of potential failure. Thanks to plastic gears that wear out or the circuit boards that just give up, fixing this can set you back more cash than you'd ever want to throw at an already pricey performance car. Number 7, the Volkswagen 2.5-liter V6. With this Volkswagen 2.5-liter V6, misfires become your new weekend project, turning that smooth cruise into a jittery mess that often feels like a bumpy roller coaster ride more than anything else. Let's not forget the love affair with oil. This thing consumes oil faster than a thirsty marathon runner at mile 20. Longevity? Don't even think about it. The 2.5-liter V6 is the kind of engine that starts feeling more like a ticking time bomb after 50,000 miles. Instead of cruising into a reliable future, you're looking at an engine that'll be smugly headed toward its own early retirement, with you left footing the repair bills. And sure, it might give you a good ride for a while, zippy even, but that's just Volkswagen's trick to make you fall in love with it before hitting you with the heartbreak of expensive repairs. Number 8, the Cadillac Northstar V8 engine. Introduced in the early 1990s, it was designed as a high-performance power plant for luxury vehicles. While it delivered impressive power and smooth performances, it became notorious for several reliability issues that have led many to consider it one of the least dependable engines in automotive history. One of the most significant problems with the Northstar engine is its tendency for head gasket failures. This issue often stems from the use of fine thread head bolts in the aluminum block, which can weaken over time and lead to gasket failure. Such failures can result in overheating and costly repairs. The Northstar engine is also known for excessive oil consumption and leaks. Owners have reported oil leaks around the main seals and valve covers, as well as high oil consumption rates, sometimes up to 1 quart for every 500 to 100 miles. This excessive oil usage is often due to carbon buildup causing piston rings to stick, leading to oil burning in the combustion chamber. Overheating is another common problem associated with the Northstar engine. This can be attributed to head gasket failures, coolant leaks, or clogged cooling systems. Overheating not only affects engine performance, but can also lead to further mechanical failures if not addressed promptly. The intricate design of the Northstar engine makes repairs particularly challenging and expensive. For instance, the starter motor is located beneath the intake manifold, making it difficult to access and replace. Additionally, fixing oil leaks often requires removing the engine from the vehicle, leading to high labor costs. And due to these issues, many owners have faced significant maintenance challenges and expenses, leading to a reputation for unreliability. Number 9. So it's 1997 and Ford rolls out the Triton, putting it in everything from F-150s to Lincoln Navigators. Sounds like a big deal, right? Well, here's the kicker. Imagine cruising down the road feeling like king of the highway when suddenly, bam, a spark plug decides to go rogue, which ejects itself straight out of the cylinder head like it's launching into orbit. Repairing that little disaster can set you back anywhere from $1,100 to $2,000, and trust me, that's just the start of the headaches that this engine like to throw your way. Oh, and oil consumption? Yeah, this thing drinks oil like your uncle at a barbecue, always emptying the bottle and asking for more. Poor lubrication means carbon buildup, and that's going to have you seeing dollar signs when it's time for repairs. Figuring out what's wrong? Well, diagnostics alone can start at $500. And if it's a deep-rooted issue, you're looking at a couple grand easily. It's like paying a doctor just to tell you that, yeah, you're going to need surgery. And then there's the timing chain guide, another lovely feature of this masterpiece. Now sure, the part itself is cheap, but getting to it? Labor-intensive, wallet-draining, and enough to make even the biggest Ford fan consider taking up cycling. Bills range from anywhere to $1,100 to $2,000 just to get it all sorted out. Honestly, this engine's maintenance was like a game of whack-a-mole. You fix one problem, and another one pops right up. Number 10, the BMW N63 engine. The N63 debuted back in 2008 with all the glitz and glam that you'd expect from a BMW. It promised power, speed, and that thrill of the open road. And I'll give you that, until it decides it's time for another breakdown. We're talking overheating issues, oil guzzling like it's going out of style, and a battery that loves to drain just for the fun of it. Picture trying to run a marathon while consistently needing to stop for a drink and a nap. That's the N63 in a nutshell. This baby will take you from 0 to 60 with a grin on your face, only to leave you stranded at the side of the road while your wallet weeps. Chronic oil leaks, overheating from that hot V design, and injector issues that cost a small fortune, it's all part of the charm. BMW even rolled out a customer care package to help owners deal with all the headaches that the engine brings. And honestly, when a manufacturer needs to hand out apology packages, you know there's a problem. Would you take a chance on an N63 despite the issues, or is reliability a deal breaker for you? Let us know in the comments what engine you think deserves the title of least reliable.